Mmm, mmm. May the 4th it is. May the 4th be with you. Yes, happy May the 4th be with you. Um, this is Sunday, and May the 4th. Yeah, a lot of people like Disney's really shit all over Star Wars, but it's still May the 4th, and I'm still a Star Wars fan. It's it's okay to say you're a Star Wars fan and not get lumped in with the bullshit of Disney Star Wars. So, I mean, those classic Marvel Star Wars comic books are still my favorite, and can't take that away from me. I still like going through them. Still like the stories. So, and I think that's the reason why I was so disappointed was they put kind of Easter eggs in of different IPs from the comic books, but they did it in such a disrespectful way. Specifically, the Hoojibs in the book of Boba Fett, that it's one of those where it's like, nope, that's not my Star Wars. My Star Wars, there's no point in watching the this bad Disney Star Wars to mar your memories of good Star Wars. So, but okay, guys. So John's Longbox announced today when he was doing his Sunday show, him and I are going to be doing the Devil's Printer, and we are going to. I started working on the character design sketches uh, this week. I went and dug out my movie copies of the Samuel Adams miniseries that was on HBO, and also Last of the Mohicans and uh, The Patriot by Mel Gibson. And I did that, and what I've been doing is always I'll play one of them, and I don't watch them. I just look up at them, and then if I see something like how a person's wearing their tricob hat or whatever, I'll like take notes and whatnot. So that way I have an idea. That way I have a feel for the costume attire for what he's going to wear. So now I know that he's going to be he's definitely going to have like the printer's apron on him. That's definite. But like for instance, the boots. Am I going to have it where he's got like the little wooden boot with leather on it, with the we call it like the wraparound socks up to the knee, and then uh, the pants tucked in so they balloon out? Maybe I'll just have like a Buccaneer style boot. It all depends. John will be the one to decide about what to do. So, but so it was it's been interesting and fun collaborating with him. And I don't look at it as when this is not my character. This is his character, so I need to meet his expectations for what the character is going to look like. So, because like originally, like he corrected me on one thing. Like I wasn't sure about how the mask was going to be, and one of the things I was like working with different ideas, like a typical like domino mask, and then I thought about, well, what if we do like the broad domino mask that was used by a lot of the mystery men during the World War II era. So I thought worked that up. And the thing is if you do that type of a mask, it would still work for Revolutionary War. And the reason being is because at the point time of the Revolutionary War, we had Mozart, and we all remember like the movie Mozart with all the elaborate masks, and at the parties where we would have those, and they had those broad masks that would like cover up like everything, like almost like come down to the nose and come up and then bow down between the eyes. Those were popular. So I was like, maybe something like that. And then I thought of one thing like with a hood, like a burlap bag hood, like the Wraith, Aaron Lepresti's Wraith of God, how his mask is, and I was working that idea up with like, okay, it's still going to have like you're still going, if he's wearing, let's say this is the Wraith of God mask, you're still going to have like highlights where the bridge of the nose is, highlights like above the eye, the cheeks. And I was working it. I'm like, wait a second, he's a printmaker. What if he had wore like he took a sheet of paper or a piece of cloth? Because remember, um, paper like cloth was used with printing also back then. So what if he took a piece of cloth, draped it over his face, and then they put they covered it with ink, and then they covered it with ink again and ink. It would form like a hard shell that he could then use that, and because it's kind of disposable, so that way after he's done what he had to do to protect his identity, he can quickly destroy it and just be like walking down the street, and like a British officer stops him and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just walking this way. And well, why do you have ink all over your face? Well, look at my hands. I'm a printer. I'm a printer's assistant. So I thought of that. So, but then when I was like, I posed the idea to John. He was like, no, it's just like a regular domino mask. I'm like, okay, that works. That works. So, still, it all depends. Am I going to go with a very thin domino mask right around the eyes, or is it going to be a broad domino mask? That's the only thing I need to get nailed down, along with all everything else. But I mean, we're really still in the picking his brain to get an idea of what he wants. So, so it's just in the beginning phases. But I'm excited. I'll be working with him on this idea of his. So, and as he said, he's like he's got like the structure. He just has to figure out the beats and the diet. Well, I think he's got the beats figured out. He's got to figure out like the dialogue and whatnot. So he's got the script part, and then from there we'll go. Then it's in my hands to meet his expectations. So that's exactly what it is. I mean, I'm a work for hire. Uh, so it's one of those where like I can put all the energy into it, but this is his property. So, but and what I'm doing right now is I'm using this nib intentionally to keep all these shadows small and delicate. That way I can go heavy on the bricks and they'll cause this to pop. So for instance, this brick here, this needs to be darkened so that way the gun will pop. So, but now I'm going to talk to you guys about the show I went to the weekend before Easter. That was the Lehigh Valley Con. It was just a 1 day show. Now I heard them make the announcement that starting next year it's going to be a 2 day show. So they've gotten themselves big enough that they can do a 2 day show instead of a 1 day show. I still kind of like 1 day shows. It's like you just get in, get everything, make all your money, and get out. I've always noticed that when I would go to shows and try to sell my wares, that generally I noticed with a lot of people, you make all your money on Saturday, and then really Sunday you're just like sitting around, and you might get a little bit of traffic right when the con opens, but for the most part you're then sitting around just waiting for the day to be over so you can go home, do breakdown, go home. And I've noticed that with artists. I know there's a lot of artists also where they have to. You can tell that like towards the end of the con or on a Sunday, they're just like they're not making any money. They just want to get the hell out of there. I have noticed that. So, but no, I had a good time there. I had Neil Vokes sign an issue of Badger. It was the only issue I owned, and he looked at it. And he was like, "Wow." And he jokes. He goes, "I don't even have this issue." And so later on, when I was going through this one, it was actually a dealer table, and it was the dealer table for those that were holding the show. So it was basically the promoter, the con promoter. It was his show, and so it was his comics that I was looking at. And I came across the exact same issue of Badger. So I explained the situation to the promoter about, hey, I want to buy this. Can you deliver it for me to Neil Vokes? And he just took it and he goes, I'll deliver it myself. And he went over, he delivered it, and So I know Neil Vokes was probably surprised to have the promoter walk up to him and go, "Here, I heard you don't have a copy of this book." So so next time I see Neil, I'll have to ask him about that. Hopefully, it was a good laugh between Neil and the promoter. So I saw Bob McLeod there. He lives like 10 minutes from the show, so it was a great show for him. Um, and here I had him sign like two copies of Teen Titans. It was like George Perez and Tom Grummett did the artwork, and he did the inks. And me and him got into a long talk about George Perez, our love for George Perez. I told him about how I love George Perez so much, but yet before I do page layouts and I do drawing, I always have to like flip through Joe Kubert and Will Eisner and like Buscema and even like Walt. I flip through books of their stuff that I have on my spinner rack and I kind of deprogram myself from all of George Perez's storytelling methods before I do that because while George was extraordinary, George he would where he would get a script and maybe it was required like 4 panels, he turned it into like 14 panels. And for George, it works, but for me, it doesn't. Specifically, having to do this inking the way I do it, I'm sorry, it just does not work. So I have to deprogram myself before I start work from how George does stuff because he's very influential on how I draw and how I do page layouts. So, but and still, even so, there's still times when I'm doing it and he will bleed through in a page layout or how I do the pages. So, and then uh, after Bob McLeod or McLeod, however you want to say it, um, I went over and I saw Matt Murray. Matt Murray was there. He was the editor for the. See, this is where I'm curious. I don't think. Shit. I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to put some tone in here, but I haven't figured out where. I'm going to work it out with a pencil first, and then put the ink in. So we're going to skip that for now. So in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on this and darkening this brick wall here. So, but at any rate, so Matt Murray was there, and I had him sign the 2 issues of Conan. He was the editor for Conan for Titan Comics for a while. When it first started, he was there when they did their free comic book day. So I had him sign those books. He's now working on a uh, 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 he's working on the Smurfs. So I told him, I said how like if he's wanting to be on Aaron's show, they could talk Conan and Solomon Kane. He did that book, and he was kind of like, well, I'm doing Smurfs now. I got, and my response to him was, Aaron has 2 grandkids. Trust me, he's gonna know what Smurfs is. So I mean, hey, just trying to help out Aaron with if he needs ideas for like guests to be on his show. Why not talk to those guys now and put the bee in their ear? Like, hey, I think you'd get along great if you were on Aaron's show. He puts out a really good show. So, but you never know. So, and then uh, saw Prentice Rollins had him sign uh, some of the uh, some of the books I have for him, and then of course uh, Keith Williams saw him. Now Keith Williams, he has a ledger, and so he always has to remember to when he signs a book to notate it in the ledger that he signed a book. So I always, whenever I see him, first thing I always say to him is, "Where's the book?" And the reason why is because his wife is very vigilant on making sure everything gets notated. So whenever I see him and his wife's not sitting there at the table with him, I'll say to him, "I go, where's the book? We gotta break out the book." So and he laughs. So, and one thing was neat was that issue of the Incredible Hulk that I posted a few weeks ago, uh, issue 315. We were talking about that run because I had him sign one of the issues, and he was like, "How like yeah, how like that's like a lot of people remember him from that run when he was just doing the background inking assists for John Byrne." So they don't remember him for doing Alpha Flight or for doing Action Comics. No, people know him most for his run doing the background inks for John Byrne. So, and you think about it, John Byrne could have had someone uh, ghost him with the background inks, but no, Keith Williams got credit in the books that he did the inks on, even though he's doing background inks. So, and I know, like, because I know, like, the ones you go like, ugh, was when he'd have like uh, the double page spread of Action Comics, where Big Barda turns and she takes a wrong turn and goes down in the slum city of Metropolis, and he was like when I showed him that page from the sign, he was like, oh, and he flipped to that page and he goes, this page was such a pain in the butt to do. It was so. He goes, there are times. He goes, I love John, but there are times I just wanted to kill him because he would leave the hardest pages for him to ink. So, but it's always neat to talk to Keith Williams. In fact, Keith Williams will be at the Garden State Comic Con, and Miss Stipp got us a hotel room for that weekend. We're only going to be going to the show on Saturday, and then Sunday we're going to the local zoo. But we'll be there at the hotel. So who knows? Maybe I'll in the evening I'll hang out with Keith Williams and talk to him. So who knows? We'll find out. It'll be entertaining. I'll have stories, guys. I'll have stories. So, but and then of course, Rags Morales was there, and the big book I had him sign was he did an issue of Sliders, and the reason why he did that book was he was under contract obligation with uh, yeah, that looks good. I think I gotta pull some of these blacks down into here though. So now I need to do that to make it work. So he's Rags. I showed him that book, and then I had him something because there's something about that book, and it's like one of those where it's like you did almost because like no F's to give. And he goes yeah, and he said how he's like yeah, I kind of had to uh I was he was under the he wasn't able to do the full book because of being uh because of the deadline. So, but he still, it's like he really didn't have anything to lose. So he just let it fly. And so he was able to really push himself and have fun with doing the book. And it shows. So I had him sign that one. It's one of the, and honestly, tell you, if I want to look at his stuff, that is one of the books I flip to take a look at. So when you're ever going through a dollar bin, the dollar bins at your local store or at a show, if you come across it, pull it out. Pull it out, spend that dollar, spend that 50 cents, and check out the book. You're going to be surprised. It's it's an entertaining book. So, but and then he also so I was talking to him and like where I was telling him how like my influence is like primarily uh, uh, Franklin Booth, he was rattling off a lot of illustrators that he's influenced by, and it's amazing how many uh, illustrators like Rockwell and Leyendecker are his influences, and it mirrored Aaron Lepresti when Aaron talks about it. So it was one of those where it's like, wow. So you guys, again, this is one of like if Rags would go on Aaron's show and they just talked illustrators and they didn't, just stuck to like ground rules being let's just talk about illustrators, I think those two would have a great time together. So maybe I'll talk to him again when I see him this Saturday at the Phillipsburg Con because he'll be at that one. So cause I already pulled out the few books I want him to sign at that show. So, but guys, I'm having a great day. I'm working hell on this. Now, once the camera turns off, I'm gonna be working on a different project. I got a deadline for something else. It's not a paid job, but it's still a self-imposed deadline that I need to meet. So I'll be working on that. It's getting close to done. When I have it done or really close to finishing, I'll show it to you guys. So, guys, so remember next week, Saturday I won't be doing a video. Sunday I'll be doing my week of signed comics. So you're only getting one video, and that'll be on Sunday. So until then, guys, remember life is stressful. Always take it all one dot at a time.